The year is 1470. In the mountains of Thessaly, a bell rings. For the last time, this valley will never hear that sound again. Because this morning the gates of the convent will be broken. Behind the thick stone walls of the convent, 23 Christian nuns kneel. They whisper the same prayers they have repeated for years, every morning, every day. But today, prayer will not be enough. Outside, the horizon is blood red, not from the sun, from crimson banners waving in the distance. The Ottoman army is not marching. It descends upon the convent like a shadow. They look like armor made of iron and steel. Ilani, who has been abbess for 2 centuries, grips a silver cross tightly in her hands. Her hands tremble, but not from fear. She knows what is about to happen to them. Yet there is something they could not foresee that, compared to what they were about to endure, death would be a reward. And then that moment comes. The bell falls silent. The gates are destroyed. 1453, Constantinople falls. A city that had stood for 1,000 years is torn apart by 53 days of cannon fire. Nothing remains of the crosses of Hagia Sophia. All of them are reduced to ashes. Its mosaics are covered with plaster. Its bells are melted down. Within a week, 9 centuries of hymns are replaced by the call to prayer. Sultan Mehmed II stands inside Hagia Sophia and declares it a mosque. Not because there is a need for a place of worship, but to show a truth. The way to defeat a people is not to kill them. It is to erase their identity. The Ottomans did not only conquer land, they conquered identity. Every convent bell that continued to ring, every monastery left standing, every nun still praying with hopeful eyes, all of them were acts of defiance. The Sultan had now made his decision. Those who did not return would be bid farewell, but not through brutality. Brutality is oppression. Oppression is committed by tyrants. They were not tyrants. The Ottomans wanted something different. Silence. By the year 1470, this method had been applied many times. Greek monasteries on Mount Athos, Serbian Orthodox churches, Armenian communities, all in the same way. First an offer, then waiting, after that cleansing. Now the target was the convent of St. Catherine. But they could not have predicted this. They were not soldiers. They were not warriors. Their weapons were rosaries. The only thing they trusted was their faith. And then that sound was heard. The first attack came in the early hours of the morning, not to the dome of the convent, but to the bell tower. The bell that had rung every day for 140 years, shattered in the sky. Fragments rained down onto the herbs the nuns had grown for healing. Ilani did not scream. She stepped forward, raised the cross into the air, and began to sing, Kyrie eleison, Lord have mercy. One by one, all 23 voices rose together. But empires do not listen to songs. The gates were destroyed. Soldiers flooded inside, but they carried no swords. They carried books and pens. Because what was happening was not a massacre. It was a work carried out with cold composure. The nuns were first identified, then recorded in lists. A translator called out, "Those who return will be taken under our protection. Those who do not will pay the price of rebellion." Ilani stepped forward from the crowd. "Tell your sultan this. We have given our entire lives to a king. We have nothing left to give you." A smile appeared on the face of Hassan Pasha, because there was one thing the Ottomans had perfected flawlessly: destroying a person from within without killing them. That night the nuns were quietly locked inside their rooms. No food, no water, only the pitch darkness and the shouts echoing from beyond the door. Who would break? First, a heavy silence fell over the night. On the second day, food arrived. They did not eat. On the third day, their lips cracked until they bled. They still did not break. On the fourth day, a decision was made. They would continue walking. 23 nuns, their hands bound with ropes under the scorching heat for 7 full days. Their strength was gone. They were finished. One by one they collapsed. Hassan Pasha took notes. 22 remain, then 18. Later Ilani was brought back again, among silks, like a convert. But eyes do not lie. Despair was written in her gaze. Years later, a Venetian merchant would write, "They took her body from her, but her soul was still praying." This is the truth, never written in history books. The Ottoman goal was not death. The goal was psychological destruction. When they reached Constantinople, they were forced to kneel at the foot of Hagia Sophia. One of the nuns murmured, "We have come to our home, but it is no longer ours." Then they were taken down beneath the palace, into dungeons and narrow passages, into a room that did not exist in the records. In 2011, that room was discovered during excavation works. The walls were covered in crosses, thousands of them, and on the wall 4 words, written in Latin, "Lux in tenebris luce," the light shines in the darkness. For years, perhaps centuries, they gathered at midnight to pray. They carved what they lived through into stone. They refused to be erased from memory. Then the markings stopped. In Ottoman records, dated 1482, there was a single word, disposed, but the wall stood firm. And 5 centuries later, we found it. This story is not about the Ottomans. November, is it about religion? It is about what power does when it tries to erase people, and what happens when people refuse to be erased. The empire is gone, but the writing on the wall remains. Lux in tenebris lucet, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. If you truly felt something about history, subscribe, not for us, for the silenced, because some voices are silenced, but the truth never is.